Wonderful video. And as we just heard, education is one of the best gifts that you can give your children. Hello, everyone. My name is Marie Bathelmy, and I am the Director of Scholarship Operations at the Children's Scholarship Fund. I have the pleasure this evening of introducing four parents who are just like you, who have used or are using scholarships to send their children to the school of their choice. First on our panel is Ms. Shalimar Encarnacion. Shalimar is a program and outreach coordinator at CSF New Hampshire, but before joining the CSF team, she was a CSF mom. Her son Angel used a CSF scholarship starting in the 8th grade. Over the years, Shalimar has volunteered for CSF, testifying to the New Hampshire legislators about the positive effects of the scholarships on her son. A few years ago, she and her son Angel were special guests at Governor Sununu's State of the State address. We also have Katie Hines Hops. She is coming to us from Colebrook, New Hampshire, up near the Canadian border. She homeschools her 9-year-old son, Cohen. Katie leads a small homeschool co-op group and is helping others homeschool families in New Hampshire to access their education freedom accounts. Also joining us this evening is Katia Urbina. She is a mom of 2 daughters, Abigail and Angeli, who attend in St. Athanasius School in Bronx, New York. Katia is dedicated to educational choice despite her family's obstacles, particularly during the pandemic. And finally, but most certainly not least, Miss Celia Sims, who also lives in Bronx, New York. She will round out our parent panel. Celia's son Caleb is in the 4th grade at St. Francis of Assisi School in Bronx, New York. Faith and values were very important to her in choosing a school for Caleb, who is affectionately called the mayor because he is quite the people person. And so welcome panelists. Thank you for being with us here tonight. Your stories, I'm sure, is going to resonate with so many who are just like you. And so we're going to get started with Shalimar. Shalimar, can you tell us why you initially applied for a scholarship? Were you unhappy with the education Angel was receiving?
Thank you, Marie. I initially had started looking for a private school more for my daughter who had just recovered from cancer. And that was back in 2013. And she did receive a scholarship for half a year, but she chose to go back to public school. And then that following year, we got the scholarship for Angel, and he was able to go to the private school, and it was night and day difference.
How so? Can you give us an example?
So he had an IEP at the middle school he was at, and they were not following it. And when he started going to the school about 2 months in, like I would say late October, the teacher said to me at the private school, "Why did he even have an IEP? He doesn't really even need it. He's really good. He just needed to be seated in the back of the classroom in the corner so he wasn't distracted by kids in the back, and just work with him individually if he needs help."
And for those who are unaware, an IEP is an individualized education plan, and those are typically given to special needs students. So I'm hearing you say your son was diagnosed special needs when, as the teachers in his new school said, he really was not.
Right, he had ADHD and he did get migraines a lot, but he wasn't required. He didn't need what the way they were saying he needed it, and they weren't even giving him what he did need.
But he did find a place that understood him and was able to meet his needs.
Yeah.
So, Katia, can you tell us about how you chose a school for your daughter Abigail when she was ready to start kindergarten? What made you look beyond the local neighborhood school that she would have been assigned to?
Hi, good evening, everyone. So my daughter Abigail graduated Head Start in 2013 from La Penn. And that was my first chance or opportunity to get to know the educational system in the United States, being that I am the first generation of immigrants in this country. So for me, it was all new. So I had the opportunity to be a chairperson in Head Start. And with that said, I learned that I had a voice and a vote and that I had an election. So when she graduated, I applied for charter schools, and I didn't get called for any of the 15 charter schools that had submitted applications. So I had to go to my local school that was in my zip code. And when I went to visit, I was shocked, and I was not happy with what I saw. And that just concerned me. And then I heard about the private school around my area, which is St. Athanasius Catholic School. But to me, it was something unreachable because as being an immigrant, I don't have such a good income, but yet that I haven't had the opportunity of having university communication in this country, or education, I'm sorry. So I didn't even thought that this was possible for us as a family to afford. But despite that, I still went to the school, asked questions, and what was to me a dream, unreachable dream, became reality when I was introduced to CFF, that I didn't even know what it was or what it meant. So when they told me you can apply, you are eligible, I thought I was dreaming, and that I was, it wasn't a reality to me. But when I had the opportunity and they told me that it was just an application that I had to submit with my income, and that for me, I can put it into words, said that it made a life change to me and my family, because it gives my daughter the opportunity that I would want her to have, the opportunity that I maybe don't have in this country, but it doesn't have to be her story. So I learned that I'm not a number. I have a choice and I have a vote. So for me, CSF is a change of life and opportunities to my daughter and my family. And I am truly, truly appreciative.
And we appreciate you. And I'm sure your daughters appreciate you as well, because you took that step. You found that voice within you, and you took that step to go and speak up for them on their behalf, no matter what your obstacles were. And so another person who I know had faced some obstacles, Katie, you made the decision to homeschool your son. Can you tell us how you came about making that decision and describe your experience with homeschooling?
We actually decided to homeschool when I was pregnant. Both my husband and I did not have phenomenal public school experiences. And living as rural as we do, sending him to a public school wasn't logistically possible. I mean, I think that the closest private school from us is like 3 hours away. So homeschool was really the only option, if not public school.
Wow. Were you home? You said you're based on your public school experiences, so that actually stayed with you.
Oh yeah.
And
when September comes and you've been graduated for 10 years, but you still get anxiety from like the change in season, it clearly had a lasting traumatic effect. Living rurally, you kind of get, I hate to say this, but like our schools kind of get the leftovers teacher wise, and because there's so few resources for the rural areas, just as it sounds like is the same issue in the city, you kind of have to make do with what you have.
And you certainly have been doing that, making do with what you have. And so the EFA program is a program that was recently passed in the state of New Hampshire. And so it is very new, but you've taken an extra step to help other families and started a Facebook group to help other homeschool families. Tell us about that.
Well, there's kind of like a community of homeschoolers in the state of New Hampshire who have been around for 100 years. And they were kind of viewing home educators who access to the EFA as like less than other home educators. And it's like every time the EFA was being discussed on these like Facebook forums, anybody who had applied for it was kind of getting attacked.
Wow.
And it was just like, whoa. We all have the same goal here. We all want what's best for our kids. Just some of us don't have the financial means to do it on our own.
Well said. Well said. And I'm glad that you've been able to bring this group together to support one another. That's what Ms. Virginia was talking about, unifying our voices. And you're doing that in your way in your area. Celia, can you share with us how you first found out about CSF and why you decided to apply for a scholarship for Caleb?
Well, like one of our former parents just said, I didn't know when I needed help that this kind of help was available, that there was a children's scholarship fund that could help, you know, in the ability to actually make a good school choice for my child. And I applied when he was going into kindergarten. It was introduced to me by his former school. And, you know, I wasn't hopeful, very hopeful when I did, but the result was very, very beneficial for our family, both financially and spiritually as well, because we really wanted him to go to a school of faith. And that's lined it up with some of the standards that we and moral beliefs that we had.
That's great. You found a school that lined up with your values. How was Caleb able to adjust to the in-person learning during the pandemic, since he is the mayor after all?
Well, they call him the Mr. President.
Oh, he's Mr. President. He's been
yes.
upgraded.
Yes, he's, you know, he's very outgoing, very vocal, likes being the center of attention, and he is a very sighted learner. Being on, you know, when the pandemic hit and being online, virtual learning was just not really working for him. He's hands-on, as I said before, very, you know, visual in his learning. So when St. Francis of Assisi was going back into the new year, just, you know, still in the height of pandemic, but they were doing hybrid. I said, you know what, I need to get him into school, even if it was 2 to 3 days for the week, which what they were doing, these alternate days. And he was glad to be among people and among, you know, a smaller classroom with a teacher, and just, you know, everything started improving, you know, over time. And then of course, after the first semester, they transitioned to in-person learning every day. And I'm telling you, it made a world of difference in his daily ability to have that social interaction as well as being taught.
That's wonderful. It sounds like you found a place that truly meets the needs of the whole child, and that is the right place for your son. And so we do have one more question for our panelists, and for Shalimar and Katia, if you can answer this question both in English y en español, porque hay muchos padres aquí que hablan español y también quiero oír un poquito de ustedes, de su parte. And so the question is, and we're going to start first with Shalimar. What are your hopes and dreams for your children's? Well, Shalimar, your child is older, but you know, you still have hopes and dreams for him. But for the other ones who are still ends of school age, what are your hopes and dreams for your children's future?
Well, I will answer. Obviously, my angel is now 19 years old, and I still have a hope that he's going to go ahead and become the best version of himself. But my hope right now is actually for the children that are coming up in New Hampshire, and being able to help them to be able to achieve the dreams that they want, regardless of their income and regardless of their zip codes. So that is my hope and dream for the children of New Hampshire. Mi hijo Ángel, él tiene 19 años ahora, pues ya él está grande, no necesito pensar tanto en cuanto qué es lo que yo quiero para él, excepto que quiero que sea la mejor versión de él mismo. Mayormente yo me enfoco en ayudar a los padres y las familias aquí en New Hampshire para que ellos puedan tener las oportunidades que Angel no tuvo, y que con el EFA, y que también tuvo la oportunidad con la escuela privada. Es importante para mí que las familias aquí en New Hampshire puedan conseguir lo que ellos necesitan para que sus hijos puedan salir hacia adelante.
Bien dicho, well said. Katie, what are your hopes and dreams for your Cohen?
I just want him to be a happy and well-adjusted human being who is kind and does something with his life that brings him joy.
That
As
is
simple as
so
that.
sweet. That is so sweet. And you having the opportunities to homeschool him and instill in your family values, I'm sure that makes it extra special for you.
It makes a world of difference, and we appreciate everything CSF has offered us.
Amen. And Miss Celia, your hopes and dreams for the president, Caleb.
Well, that he will become president. In actuality, my hopes and dream is for him to make an impact in his world. You know, he's a very, very personable person, very sociable. He's a risk taker. He's not shy. And so I see him in the public forum. You know, I see him, yes, as a politician or a lawyer or a preacher. You know, he lives in a pastor's home, but you know, I see him for more than even what he might even envision for himself. So the sky is the limit. And I really am thankful to God for such a support from CSF.
Great, wonderful. And we will be looking for Caleb on the ballot sooner, probably much rather than later.
Vote Caleb.
Vote Caleb. Katia, ahora, por favor, su contesta.
You wanted English and Spanish?
En inglés y en español. Yes, please.
Okay, so my hopes and my dreams are for Abigail and Angelique to be whatever they want to be in the future. Abigail wants to be an oncologist, a pediatric oncologist. So my hopes are that she can achieve her dreams, not mattering the barriers that may be in the way, not mattering zip codes, like Shalimar said, not mattering that she's used to be a minority because now Hispanic community is growing, and that she can achieve her dreams of being an oncologist, and Angelique wants to be a veterinarian. So I'm hoping, and I am sure that with foundations like CFF, we will be able to make that possible. So mis sueños y mis esperanzas como mamá, primeramente están puestas en Dios y también en fundaciones como CFF, para que mi hija Abigail pueda realizar su sueño de ser una oncóloga pediátrica y que su código postal o su raza no sean limitantes para conseguir sus sueños, al igual que Angelique, que quiere ser una veterinaria. Entonces, mi deseo y mi esperanza están puestas en fundaciones como estas, a las cuales estoy eternamente agradecida, yo y mi familia, y que pueda ella ser una de las oncólogas más importantes en Estados Unidos, representando no solo la nación americana, pero también como hondureña en este país. Así que estoy muy agradecida con una fundación como ustedes.
Muchísimas gracias y nosotros estamos agradecidas o bien agradecidos por usted, Shalimar, y por todos los demás. We are very grateful for all of our parents. You each are very special to us, and there would be no program without you, because you are truly partners with us in helping us to educate your children. And so thank you to Katia, Shalimar, Celia, and Katie for sharing your stories. Your stories are very similar to many who are hearing you now, and probably many more who are coming behind and want the same opportunity. And so before I turn it over so that you all can hear some of our wonderful principals, I just wanted to take a second to remind everyone that the requalification time is upon us. And so do be looking out for your emails from CSF, Team CSF, with all the information so that you can get your scholarships for next year, academic year 22-23. So on behalf of everyone at CSF, especially your program team who loves to serve you and be of help in any way that we can. Thank you so much for listening. And now we're going to hear from some principals. And first, we're going to watch a short video interview with the principal from Guardian Angel School in Manhattan, New York City.